Hello, my name is Tatiana Smoli and I'm here to introduce you an amazing person, Timothy Morales, PhD of English, of literature, English culture, and Timothy has an amazing experience. He has grown up in London and
just outside of Oxford, in England.
Outside of Oxford, and got a PhD in the United States. How are you doing today?
Oh, fine. Thanks for inviting me here. So.
And can you tell us, please, about your life experience?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, it's quite varied. I, as you said, I grew up in England. My mum's English. My dad was American, and we lived in England until I was 18 years old. So I grew up in England, went to school in England, and when I was 18, my parents dragged me kicking and screaming to America. Wasn't really my choice. I would have preferred to have stayed in England, but anyway, I went to university in America. I worked in America, and I eventually went back to university and pursued my PhD and became a professor at the university there. So.
Okay, great, thank you. How had you decided to become an English professor?
Okay, well, both of my parents grew up poor. That was something that my dad grew up in South Texas, my mom grew up in England during the wartime. So poor families, and throughout their life, through hard work, they became wealthy. And my dad was really adamant about the fact that money isn't really important. You need to be successful, you need to be professional, you need to do something that you love doing, and that was the thing that he instilled in me and my two sisters. So I got my bachelor's degree in business, and I was working in business, living in America, and it was all sort of money centered, and just I got burnt out with that. So one day I went back to university just for something interesting to do. I took a literature class, and over the course of that semester, it's like, yeah, this is really more what I should be doing instead of trading stocks or...
So you changed your life dramatically.
Yeah, and just a lot happier after that. So.
You're a very brave person to change. Okay, great. How did you get your idea and your concept of creating English school?
Okay, well, I live in Ukraine, obviously, and I had taught as a volunteer at the Kherson State University, and it was, people would come and ask me for lessons, and for me it was a little bit uncomfortable at first because when I was a professor, the university paid me, so there was no money for services, which kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable even still. So I wasn't really doing it very often, but just bit by bit I started to get individual students, and people really liked and needed what I was doing, so yeah, it was something that I ended up doing. So yeah.
How do you think, what helped you to your English school to become so famous in our city?
Okay, well, this is one of the things, it's very difficult to advertise in Ukraine. And we've tried it over the years, we've tried everything. We've tried billboards, we tried advertisements in publications, radio, television, word of mouth. That's the only thing that works. Yeah, and I've just been here so long, and Kherson's such a small place that most people who are serious about English at least know of me. So yeah, that's how I just put the time in.
Okay, great. How do you feel to change your life from like living in America and United Kingdom and living in Ukraine, like with Ukrainian, like Russian mentality? How do you feel yourself here?
Well, it takes some getting. I've lived here a long time, so I've got used to a lot of stuff. But my students always joke about this, that I have a little bubble. So I have my English school. Everybody speaks English. I have my flat. Even my dog only knows English. So I don't really interact as much as some people like. I have a friend here from New Zealand, Michael, who works in agriculture, and he's totally immersed in the culture. I'm not so much. So I get to use the phrase cherry pick. I can pick the things that I like doing and avoid the kind of things that I don't like, for the most part. So it's not difficult.
Thank you. What is your goal, like, for your English school?
Well, what I'm wanting to do is to sort of expand, and I'm not really talking about necessarily from a business perspective, but the thing that I really like doing is I like teaching students who are motivated. It's not a numbers thing. It's not like I wish I had more students and more profit and whatnot. I really like teaching when the students are motivated, and I have a set of students, and you're one of them, who are very motivated, and I enjoy teaching them. But I also know that Kirsten, and how to say it nicely, it's not a big. There's not a lot of people who are really committed to English. They like the idea of studying English and learning English, but they're not into it 100%, which you need to be to get fluent. And that's my little niche is.
So you want to relocate to bigger cities?
Well, not to relocate, but to be able to do things online with students from. I already have individual students in Dnipropetrovsk, in Kiev, Moscow, even. So I'm wanting to sort of expand that, just so that I can find students who are only the people who are very, very committed to learning.
Speaking about technology, how do you use your sources right now?
Okay, I would love to integrate technology into the classroom, but I know that most of my students only come to me for conversation. We don't watch videos and whatnot. They want to talk. So there's not really a way to integrate technology as much. Skype, but Ukrainians have a prejudice against Skype. They don't like doing that, but bit by bit it's breaking down. That, and then also trying to expand using social media, YouTube and whatnot. So, yeah.
I know that you recently launched YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to start, and how do you feel about it?
Okay. I was thrown the idea of vocabulary building is something that's important for my IELTS and TOEFL students, and there wasn't really anything out there. You get the big lists of 1,000 words you should know to take the IELTS exam or the TOEFL exam, and most of those words were not used by people anymore. So I was like, okay, I need to do something with this, and I thought, okay, YouTube's a pretty good place to start. So I mentioned it, actually, you were one of the biggest cheerleaders for this, and it's like, okay, I will try it. How do I feel about it? Okay, I like learning new things, and definitely, when it's about English, there's not very much I can learn new, but I'm starting from the beginning with the YouTube, so I'm learning a lot about editing,
was it
film.
scary at first?
No, not scary. But now I look back and it's like, okay, this needs to be better. I need to learn how to do this. And actually, it's kind of interesting. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you for the answer. And can you tell me, how do you define success? What success means for you in life?
We're talking about all success or business success?
How you define and business success and whole life success?
Okay. I think business success is, obviously there's a money element to it. You have enough money to pay the bills and do the things that you want to do, but it's about when you wake up in the morning and you can't imagine not going to your job. So, yeah, not like, oh gosh, I got to go to my job today, I wish. No, it's where you're like excited to go to the job. So that's success. And in terms of money and prosperity and all that stuff, if you love what you're doing and you invest the time, which usually people do if they love what they do, and that comes. It comes, to different degrees, but it comes. So it's not about money, it's not about fame or anything like that. It's about, being excited every single day to do the thing that you're doing. So that's happiness. And I think it's the same thing in like your personal life too, just your general life, where you wake up every morning, you're like, yeah, this is
right person.
This is the right person, these are the right friends, this is the right place. So, yeah.
So can you consider yourself a happy person?
Yeah. I grew up in England, so I'm not very outgoing about stuff like that. But yeah, of course. it doesn't. I have very realistic expectations. So yeah, I'm happy.
Thank you. You're a very productive person. What good habits do you have, and which habits you consider good for you?
Okay.
Which helped you
All right.
to be the person you are?
Yeah, I'm. When I was young, I was a little bit on the lazy side. I mean, I think my it's not really a habit; it's a characteristic. I have a really use the word voracious, a really strong appetite for learning something new.
When you were
Always, still now.
Always.
I have to learn new things. This is the thing, and I think that's just the motivation that if I'm not interested in it, and I have to make myself do it, that doesn't always work out so well. So fortunately, I'm able to do the stuff that I'm interested in doing, and when I'm interested in doing it, and I'm learning new things, it just like I said, it's not really a habit; it's a characteristic.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah.
do you have any good habits which help you?
I know you wanted like let's get up and organize. I'm not organized. I'm not. I do get up early, but it's like I said. If I'm doing something I want to do, there's no way not to do it. So that takes care of everything. I mean, yeah, I'm not. I don't have strategies or schedules. I mean, you know this. My assistant Marina organizes everything because I'm not that inclined to be systematic and organized, but somehow, like I said, if it's something that I love doing and I'm learning something new, it just happens. Just a lot of dedication, and also to keep an open mind about stuff. So I never go into a new situation with I know what it's about. I'm always have an open mind, willing to change my mind, willing to change direction, that stuff. So.
How do you implement new ideas? If you are like no planning, no organizing.
Okay, it's not that I don't plan, but I come up with a sort of I have an idea and I write down some general things, and I mean, I think I just because I'm not young anymore, so I just think the habit of a lifetime because I've achieved lots of things. I think those things are probably more back here than here. So I'm not sitting there consciously doing lists and stuff, but back there they're saying, okay, he wants to do this, and it happens. I mean, yeah, it's systematic, but it's not me planning it. It's just the way that it unfolds. So.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
How do you see yourself in 10 years?
How do I see myself? Hopefully smarter than I am now. It's always a goal, doing new things. I look back, like how it's different now from 10 years ago, and it all sort of, just because it evolves, there's no like line where you say, okay, before this time I was like this, after this time I was like that. So I just think keep evolving in what I'm doing. Hopefully there's going to be some new technology or new aspect. I mean, I come from from a mum's side, especially. My mum's 90 next year, and she just Skyped me not too long ago, and she said she's getting a new computer, and she was complaining because now I have to learn Windows 10. It's like she's a 90-year-old woman learning Windows 10, so I'm hoping that I'm doing the same thing when I'm 10 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now. So.
What can you advise to a person who wants to start his or her career or new business or new situation?
This is, I mean, you need to love what you're doing. You need to figure out what that is first before you start making big time or money commitments. Like I said earlier, if you love what you're doing, and if you love what you're doing, you're going to work hard at it. Most people were just wired that way. And if you love what you're doing and you're working hard at it, eventually you'll be successful. You know. Yeah, you probably have to do some planning and all of that. Make mistakes, pick yourself back up when you fall down, and just be persistent with it. And I would also say too, this is probably not a very popular thing to say, but just listen to yourself, not other people. Nobody knows what you want. Nobody knows what you will be good at. People have agendas. I'm not saying bad agendas, but parents have an idea. Oh, you should be this, you should be that. Friends have given you maybe good in the head good advice. Nobody. At the end of the day, you're responsible for what you do in life, so you should make this decision yourself. Sound it off of people, bounce it off of people, get feedback, take that into account, but it should just be you figure out what you love to do and then do it no matter what.
Very wise words.
Oh, okay, thanks.
What to ask you more? I don't know.
How to study English?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, okay. All right, this because I always get asked this one. I mean, one of the things is I always tell people the difference between Russian, because my Russian is horrible, is English is a very easy language to be functionally literate in. It's an easy entry point. You can know English, and after a month of lessons, you can say stuff like, my name is Tim, and where
Not
is...
like in Russian.
Yeah, so you can start out easy. Russian, you have to know a lot to start. It's a very sort of a high entry point. The difference is with English is there's a vast difference between basic English and using the language fluently and beautifully. In Russian, the difference is not that much because you start at such a high level. So, most of my students, how do I do this? How do I... And it's like most of the time, like those early stages, it's all about grammar. It's all about learning the rules, building vocabulary and whatnot. But when you're like your level, like the upper intermediate, it's not about any of that. It's about developing habits of English. And the only way that you're going to do that is through practice. Practicing, you hear me say this in class, practicing talking so that your English moves from back and forth, Russian, English here, so where it's coming out on the back. And there's nothing you can learn, there's no tricks for that, it's just practice. Yeah.
For how long a person who know English can start speaking fluently? If this person would be very motivated, for how long?
There's, it depends when you say fluently, like somebody who works as a manager in America, that kind of fluent, or like that journalist, writer, professor fluency, because most native speakers don't have that high level. But just to be to sound fluent and to know most of the words, I don't know from beginning, but from usually from like intermediate to upper intermediate. If people do a lot of practice, it's usually about a year or so.
1 year.
Usually. But the problem is it's like going to the gym. You go lift weights,
Yeah.
you get your big muscles,
Yeah.
and then you take 6 months off and they've all gone
Yeah.
again. So yeah, you have to keep doing it.
Non-stop.
Yeah. The good thing is, like the gym analogy, is if you do stop for 6 months or a year, you have muscle memory. When you go back to studying, it's easier to get back to where you were. But you will lose some or a lot of it, because most of language at the fluency level is habit. It's not about figuring out what tense to use or what preposition on this article here. It's just about knee-jerk habit is coming from back here.
How do you see growth in your English school? Growth of your English school?
Yeah, we had, right now, one of the things I'm, like I said, just sort of focusing on is like kids English. So we have we have babies, almost toddlers, 5 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, through to high school. This is an area that's important to me because these people need it. 100%, no two ways
More
about it.
important.
And then just because of my niche, that intermediate to fluent level, we did push for a while, after Maidan and everybody needed to learn English and everybody wanted to. We did do adult beginners and all of that stuff, but there's just not the motivation there. Maybe it's the mindset after a certain age. If a person is 40 and they don't know English or they know a little bit of English, I'm not saying you can't do it. Of course you can do it. but just my experience is that the motivation's not there. So it just becomes very, very difficult. They get frustrated. They, you know. So yeah. So we focus on kids and the upper level adults.
What is your dream project?
Dream project. I don't know. I would like to. Have write a book about IELTS, taking the IELTS.
So it would be interesting.
Yeah, because you know, it's not that difficult. Again, it's just like I said before. It's all about practice. With my IELTS classes, I show them little tricks and tips, and then they go out and the students just repeat it to get it, so that they can repeat that habit in the testing. So it's not like a philosophical book, but I think it's something that would be.
I think you can write also a philosophical book.
Yeah. The problem with that is, with those kind of books, that's sort of a life's work. Maybe I will do something like that, whereas something that's a little bit more practical is something that will be done and finished, and you know, there it will be to help them. So,
Okay, thank you. What makes you happy?
Okay, there's okay. On my personal life, it's just, I mean, you know, family, it's friends, everybody being in good health, and everybody getting along together. I mean, there's that. Professionally, an example, I have a student, or had a student. He came to us in October of last year, and he didn't speak any English. I mean, alphabet nothing. Didn't speak any English, and he wanted to pass the IELTS test so he could emigrate with his family to Canada. And he was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Okay, all right." So one of my Ukrainian teachers, he studied every day for like 2-3 hours with my Ukrainian teacher, and he would also take the IELTS classes. And he just worked and worked and worked, and a couple of weeks ago he passed the IELTS with enough to get to go. And sitting there afterwards, I was sitting there thinking about it, like he and his wife, and he has a daughter. Their life's going to change.
Yeah.
They had not a great situation here in Ukraine, and now, you know, he's going to move. Because for him and his wife and his daughter, is going to have this. Hopefully, this wonderful future, and stuff like that makes me happy. You know, that's you know, where good stuff works out for people who are motivated and lose second chance, and if we can help them do that, then that makes me happy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Okay, you're welcome.
Our conversation was very interesting and useful for me, and inspiring. And what is your last, like maybe quotes or some words which can inspire people who will watch it? And
okay, all right. Well, I think let me see. Quote. Not a big one for quotes, but I will quote Oscar Wilde. And one of his quotes is, "I'm not young enough to think that I know everything." And that's one of the things. Is I just think that people should never think that it's finished, that it's over. Every day you should learn something new, and that should continue until the day that you die. And I think if you do that, you become a better person, you become a better family member, you become a better friend, you become a better boss, employee, everything. Just something that I can't imagine when people say, "Oh, I just give up, I've learned everything I need to know." Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching. I will put a link for Tim's YouTube channel. You can study English and improve it with Tim. And thank you for your time, and have a good day.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.